Refugees. Refugees are legally defined as people who are outside their countries because of a well-founded fear of persecution based on their race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group, and who cannot or do not want to return home. The table here gives approximate numbers of refugees by continent or world region. Asia, 8.8 million, Europe, 4.9 million, Africa, 4.2 million, Americas, 1.1 million, Oceania, 83,000, total 19.8 million. The term refugee is a very specific definition covering only people who have fled their homeland and sought sanctuary in a second country. However, there are millions of people in similar desperate circumstances but who do not legally qualify as refugees and are therefore not eligible for normal relief or protection. Increasingly, the UN High Commission on Refugees, that is UNHCR, has provided assistance to some of these groups. Globally, there are an estimated 20 to 25 million so-called internally displaced persons. People who have fled their homes, generally during a civil war, but have stayed in their home countries rather than seeking refuge abroad. UNHCR helps 6.3 million of these internally displaced, but as the new millennium began, and an international debate was underway on how the humanitarian community could provide more sustained and comprehensive assistance to this group. Here's regional refugee status, the Balkans. An estimated 1.8 million civilians have returned to their home countries in the Balkans in the last few years, and democratic governments were established in Yugoslavia and Croatia. Colombia. Since 1985, nearly 2 million Colombians have become exiles in their own country, trying to escape a war being fought over land, ideology, and drugs between Marxist guerrillas, right-wing paramilitary forces, and the military. West Africa. Population movements caused by insecurity in various parts of West Africa continue throughout the region. Central Africa. Huge swaths of Central Africa remain in flames. Tanzania has the largest refugee population in Africa, mainly hosting refugees from Burundi, who at the start of 2001 were also the second largest refugee group in the world, cared for by UNHCR. Sri Lanka. UNHCR assists more than 700,000 people internally displaced by the ongoing civil conflict after helping more than 100,000 civilians who had fled as refugees to India during the 1980s to return home. Timor. An estimated 100,000 East Timorese refugees remain in Indonesia. East Timor degenerated into chaos following an August 1999 vote for independence from Indonesia. The Palestine issue. Around 3.8 million people are registered with the UN Relief and Works Agency, the organization responsible for Palestinian refugees. Their future continues to be one of the most complex issues in the Middle East. North Caucasus. In August 2001, there were some 150,000 displaced persons from Chechnya. An estimated 250,000 people fled a Russian offensive in the separatist Republic of Chechnya in 1999, and UNHCR and other aid agencies assisted them in surrounding republics. Afghanistan. Afghanistan has been embroiled in conflict for the last 21 years, and despite the return of more than 4.6 million refugees, there are still some 4 million Afghans outside their homeland, while another 750,000 people are displaced due to the civil war and drought inside the country. Solving the problem. In the aftermath of World War II, UNHCR concentrated on resettling the bulk of the refugees under its mandate in new countries. But as the number of displaced people increased dramatically worldwide, so did both the attitudes of countries receiving refugees and the uprooted peoples themselves. Many states remain willing to help civilians fleeing conflicts such as Bosnia and Kosovo, but only on a temporary basis. The great majority of today's refugees would themselves prefer to return home once the situation stabilizes. In these circumstances, UNHCR encourages voluntary return by providing transportation, financial incentives, and practical help such as seeds, farming equipment, and building materials. When quick impact projects are approved, they are designated not only to help They were designed not only to help returning refugees, but also members of local communities, which in developing countries are often as poor and deprived as the refugees themselves.